Imagine a city that's so clean it's won the top prize in the country 8 years in a row. It's supposed to be a model for everyone else. That city is Indore. But behind all those awards, there's a really dark and, well, dirty secret, and it turned out to be deadly. Yep, for 8 straight years, Indore has been officially crowned India's cleanest city. That's not just an award, it's become a huge part of its identity. It's a symbol of efficiency, pride, and success for the whole nation to see. But here's the thing. Behind that #1 ranking is another number, a much, much grimmer one. Because just recently, in that very same award-winning city, over 14,000 people got violently sick from the one thing they should have been able to trust, the water coming right out of their taps. And it gets worse. At least 10 of those people died. So how on earth does the cleanest city in the entire country end up with a water supply so toxic it's literally killing people? Well, that's the question we're going to unpack right now.
Okay, so to really get what happened here, we need to zero in on one specific neighborhood in Indore. It's called Bhagirathpura. This is ground zero for the crisis, where the real human cost of this whole disaster became horribly clear.
I mean, the numbers here are just staggering. More than 14,000 people sick. Over 200 had to be hospitalized. And among those who died was a tiny 5-month-old baby boy. He was given milk that had been mixed with this poisoned tap water. He was gone within 3 days. And this is the part it's really shocking. 95% of the patients, they were women. And out of those women, somewhere between 70 and 80% suffered from kidney failure. This wasn't just a bug, it was a full-blown public health catastrophe. So, the big question is, how did this happen? You might be thinking it was some big, complex chemical spill from a factory, right? Nope. The answer is something way more basic, way more simple. And honestly, it's going to make you mad. So check this out. It all started with some really bad construction. A toilet at a police station was built literally right on top of the main public water pipeline. Then, they made a critical mistake. They didn't install a proper septic or safety tank. So all the raw sewage just collected in an open pit sitting right there above the water main. You can probably guess what happened next. The pipeline eventually broke, and raw sewage started pouring directly into the clean drinking water, poisoning thousands and thousands of people. Now, what makes this whole thing so much worse, just so much more tragic, is that it wasn't some sudden surprise accident. It didn't just happen out of the blue. The people living in Bhagirathpura had been raising the alarm for months. They knew something was seriously wrong with their water, and nobody listened. Let's just walk through this, because it's pretty damning. The first official complaint comes in way back in October. They said drain water was mixing with their supply. Then in November, another complaint. This time, people said the water tasted like acid. On December 18th, a third complaint, this time about a horrible smell. And just 10 days after that, by December 28th, 90% of the people in that area were sick. The warnings were there, they were clear, they were getting worse, and still, nothing was done. Okay, so you've got people dying, thousands are sick. Of course, journalists started asking the tough questions, demanding answers from the people in charge. And pretty quickly, all eyes turned to the most powerful political figure in that area. And that guy is Kailash Vijayvargiya. He isn't just a local representative, he's a major state minister. And get this, he's been the main political power in this exact area for more than 2 decades, ever since he first became the mayor of Indore way back in 2000. So, when a disaster of this scale happens on your turf, under your watch, the buck really stops with you.
So, a journalist named Anurag Dwari from the Lalantop went up to the minister, camera rolling, and asked him straight up, what about the deaths? What about the failure to provide clean, safe water to your own people? And his response? Well, it was all caught on camera.
His first reaction, he just waves the reporter away and says, "Chodo yaar, tum fokat prashn mat puchna," which basically means, come on man, stop asking useless questions. Think about that. Questions about citizens dying from poisoned water? He called them useless.
But the journalist doesn't back down. He points out that these are questions about people's actual lives. And that's when the minister gets even more aggressive. He snaps back, "Kya ghanta hokar aaye ho tum?" Now, ghanta literally means a bell, but in this context, it's really crude, derogatory slang. It's like saying, "What the hell are you?" The contempt in his voice was just unbelievable.
You can probably guess what happened next. That video clip, it went absolutely viral. And the public backlash was immediate and furious. In fact, the minister's own dismissive word became a rallying cry for people demanding some real accountability. And this is brilliant. People took his own insult and threw it right back in his face. They started protesting in the streets, but not with signs, with bells, the very gunta he had used to insult them. It was this incredibly powerful act of defiance, turning his own arrogance into a symbol of their anger.
So, did anyone actually face consequences for all this? Well, yes and no. A few lower-level officials took the fall. The municipal commissioner was removed, so was the superintendent engineer, and an additional commissioner. But what about the man at the top? The minister who has overseen this area for 2 decades, who laughed off questions about his dying constituents. For him, no action taken. Nothing at all. And that leaves us with one final, really important question. This isn't just a story about a broken pipe. It's about a broken system. A system where the image of a clean city seems to matter more than the health of its actual citizens. So it forces us all to ask, what does clean really mean? Is it about shiny trophies and national rankings? Or is it about making sure that every single person has access to the most basic necessity for life, safe, clean drinking water?